Okay, think of the city of London. What comes to mind? Big Ben, red buses, the Queen, right? It's one of the most famous, most recognizable cities on the entire planet. So how is it possible that in a country like Canada, some people might not even know it exists? I know it sounds absolutely wild, but it's a real thing. And today we're going to figure out exactly why.
I know, it seems totally unbelievable, doesn't it? But this is a genuine phenomenon. And the answer? Well, it's not nearly as simple as you might think. It actually opens up this fascinating window into how we all build our mental maps of the world. So let's dig in. What's really going on here?
All right, the first clue, and honestly, the prime suspect in this whole mystery, is that when a Canadian hears the word London, they might be thinking of a completely different place altogether.
That's because Canada has its own London. Yep, meet London, Ontario, a really nice city with a population over 400,000. For a massive number of Canadians, this is the default London. It's the one that comes to mind first. Unless you specifically say London, UK, the automatic assumption is you're talking about the one right there in their own backyard.
And we're not talking about some rare one-in-a-million mistake. This mix-up is extremely common. It's the most direct and obvious reason for the confusion, but believe me, it is just the tip of the iceberg.
Because, oh yeah, the story definitely doesn't stop there. If it were just about a shared name, you'd think people would sort it out pretty quickly, right? But no, there are much deeper, more complex things going on under the surface.
So to really get it, we have to zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture, the whole Canadian context. You've got this perfect storm of geography, education, and culture that creates the ideal conditions for a huge global city to just fly under the radar.
First, let's just talk about sheer distance. We're looking at around 5,700 kilometers separating central Canada from the UK. That is a massive physical gap, but it's also a huge psychological one. For a lot of Canadians, Europe can feel incredibly far away, a place that exists more in movies than in their day-to-day reality.
And that feeling of distance kind of bleeds into everything else. In school, the curriculum is naturally going to focus on Canadian history, and maybe some US history. The news you watch, the sports you follow, the casual conversations you have, it's all overwhelmingly centered on North America. The key here is that if you don't have a specific reason to look across the Atlantic, detailed European geography just doesn't come up all that often.
Then you have to factor in Canada's incredible multiculturalism. I mean, it's a nation of immigrants. So for millions of people, their attention is naturally split. It's focused on their new home, Canada, and on their powerful neighbor, the US, but also on their family's country of origin, whether that's India or China or the Philippines or anywhere else. For so many, the UK just isn't a central part of their personal story.
But this is where the story gets way bigger than just Canada. Because this isn't just some quirky Canadian thing. It actually reveals a universal truth about how all of our brains are wired, no matter where on Earth we live.
I mean, think about it for a second. When do you really learn about a place? It's when you have a reason to, right? You go there on vacation, or you have family that lives there, or you're a huge fan of its sports teams. Without one of those direct personal connections, even the most famous cities in the world can just stay as abstract names on a map.
And this brings us to a super important distinction. Being familiar with a name is not the same as having knowledge. Sure, you've probably heard of Paris or New York, but could you find them on a map? Do you know anything real about their culture or what it's like to live there? For a lot of us, the honest answer is no. Just knowing a name is only surface-level stuff.
So why does any of this matter? Who cares if some people get two cities named London mixed up? Well, it matters because this little curiosity reveals something pretty profound about how each of us builds our own personal map of the world.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this. Our mental maps are not these perfect, objective encyclopedias. They're practical, personal guides. They're shaped by what we need to know, who we're connected to, and what's physically close to us. Everything else, it all tends to get a little bit blurry around the edges.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Take a second and think about your own mental map of the world. What places are clear and in sharp focus for you? And maybe more importantly, what's missing?